This podcast is brought to you by JAM, Junction Arts and Media, building community in the Upper Valley through media.
All right, Dave. God, we're already here. This is our first podcast.
For a long time. Well, yes, sir. I guess our first podcast.
First podcast. Oh yeah, these dual cameras up here. Video cast, podcast. We're coming from an undisclosed location.
Exactly in the center of it. We have a lot of information.
This is a big deal. This is Screaming in the Darkness. This is a show we started, Community Access TV. I'm here with David Vincelette. I'm Ryan Clausen, and we're in an undisclosed location because we're afraid for our safety.
Yes, for good reason.
Because the information we have, a lot of people wouldn't like it to get out there to the masses.
Luckily, it's unbelievable, so...
Our first show. This is lovely. We could have guests here. There's room here we're at a table with 5 chairs and a lamp. And so it's kind of nice to know that we could have more people here. We're in an undisclosed location. We're here with David Vincelette. We've been off the air for over a year, our last episode, and now we've gone to podcast form.
I think it's a wise move.
They couldn't handle our visuals. And Dave, I wanted to ask you about the story of the weather vane. There was a giant, huge, humongous 600-pound brass.
It's copper.
That used to be almost for last 100 years on top of the library in Hanover, New Hampshire.
At Dartmouth College.
And Dave is the man responsible for having that weather vane taken down.
Well, I started a petition. It was responded to, and then it made the paper that it was supported by the Native American community at Dartmouth. It didn't take the administration long at all to get a crane and have it taken off the 200-foot tower at the Baker Library.
And why did you want the weather vane removed?
I had come to a personal understanding of the pain of having your land stolen from you. And I was just beside myself that I went to the meetings to battle tyranny by the town I live in Hanover. And they had this symbol up in the wall above the select board. Native American who's had his land stolen, he's being fed alcohol, and he's got tobacco. And I'm saying, here's drug addiction, alcoholism, abuse of a child who's a student. Those are their symbols.
Explain the weather vane for people who don't know what it looked like.
It was a Native American sitting by a campfire at the feet of a white man. The white man was under a tall tree, and there was a keg of rum. So it was just put together kind of as a slogan for the college by a contest where they wanted to bring together some different historical aspects of the college into one artistic piece.
This is in the 1920s.
Yeah, like
Dartmouth
1928, something like that.
1928, Dartmouth College holds a competition for the weather vane that will go on top of their big library.
Yeah, and the Baker Tower, yeah.
And someone submits this weather vane with the Native American at the feet of the white guy and then the thing of rum.
Yeah, smoking a peace pipe. And this upset you because you were saying, on the way here... Well, here's this college on a hill who polluted local waters, dumping asphalt waste and coal tar, animal waste products, toxic waste.
No, Dave, before we get to the current day asphalt waste,
yeah,
the hilarious thing is that Dartmouth College was sort of founded under the premise that we're going to help Native Americans. We're going to teach them and support them.
Samson Occam was sent to England as an emissary, raised money preaching the gospel.
Native American
taught by Eleazar Wheelock, the founder of Dartmouth College. He went to England and Scotland preaching the gospel and raised all kinds of money for a school that was supposed to create missionaries to benefit the Native Americans in America. And he was supposed to be the foreshadowing of but that's not what happened. Dartmouth for 200 years didn't educate Native Americans pretty much. The wealth of the college finally began to benefit the Native Americans only when John Kemeny reintroduced aggressive support for Native Americans at Dartmouth. So that was 1973, same as with the women being introduced to Dartmouth. That same era, the college's diversity and inclusion started to really go to fruition.
Basically, Dartmouth College was a white supremacist institution for 200 years.
Very, very white.
right? They
still
came in,
very
they
white.
took over Native American land. They said they were going to help Native Americans. They didn't.
Well, they did many great things.
And they said they were going to educate Native Americans, but they were just educating white people.
Right. Yeah, they failed in that.
And then they used slaves to build the college.
To clear the land. That's.
I mean, they use actual slaves to clear the land in New Hampshire for the College of Dartmouth.
Yeah, they had slaves. They had motivation. They were highly motivated people to take over this rough land, take down those tall trees.
And so they take it over. They don't treat the Native Americans well. They're white supremacists, racists.
I can't speak to whether they're racist or white. I know there was a white 95%.
I just pictured they were all like
white.
KKK members riding around with hoods on.
No, I don't think that was the
underground.
No, I don't think it was like that at all.
Well, I don't know. Was it not? I mean, they had slaves. They wanted to build a college, and they said, let's get slaves. I mean, they used slaves to build their own space.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound too far away from a KKK rally. But why? Who's splitting hairs?
Slavery was abolished. There's been a severe lack of African American or Native Americans in Hanover, except for through the school. You know, the school has been very supportive.
Now there's people because of Dartmouth. There's people literally from all over the world.
Yeah, and that's what one of the wonderful things about Shantytown was that I was the lowest price rental in town, and I got people from all over the world coming to Hanover calling me, and it always was a melting pot down there. It benefited the college in some ways, getting that interaction of many people, but I was always treated as a pariah for running a place that was
where hikers stayed and homeless people stayed and people that are more on the fringes of society.
Yeah. Samson Occam referred to the people that surrounded Eleazar Wheelock as an asylum of strangers. He never felt like he fit in very well, being raised as a boy by the white man. He didn't stick around with Eleazar Wheelock. He took off after his trip to England, kept moving west, but he still was preaching the gospel and the water baptism. In his journal, he calls himself a fool for Christ. So my jump into the brook in the April 1st has always been in that same spirit as a fool for Christ. Be willing to do something crazy, something fun.
I love that. March 31st, the day before April Foolish Day. Dave's been jumping in the brook every April 1st
since 1985.
So 1985.
Like 38, 39 years, something like that.
Samson Occam, he leaves. His life just goes on.
It was Samson Occam, or the shadow of Samson Occam, I should say, on that weather vane, because he is the most famous Dartmouth, or I should say Eleazar Wheelock alum as a Native American. Even though he didn't go to Dartmouth, never came to Dartmouth, was educated by Eleazar Wheelock, and the idea of a Native American being taught, it's him. He is the Native American at Dartmouth.
They named a pond after him.
Yeah, they did name a pond.
So they sent him over to Europe to raise money.
To start a school.
We're starting a school. We're gonna teach these Native Americans.
Yeah.
And they sort of used him to do that, and then they didn't do that. They just had rich white people come, and they didn't take care of his family. I heard that too. They said they were going to take care of his family while he was in Europe raising money for the college. They used a very talented Native American who would become a Christian because it was kind of a novelty.
Right.
I think they used him as a novelty item. To go to Europe, and this is good. People go whoa.
Yeah, he said he was a gazing stock, which is a gazing stock is like a set of stocks where you put somebody in to be looked at as you walk through town. They dressed him up. People would pour in to get into the churches to see him preach. They couldn't believe a Native American could speak English and preach the gospel. So he was a sensation. The Earl of Dartmouth, that's how Dartmouth got his name. The Earl of Dartmouth bequeathed a large amount of money to started the school. That's how it got its name. He had his family back home. He had his wife and children.
The Dartmouth officials are not going to like when they hear all this, Dave.
I think they know. Well, Dartmouth needs to face some ugly truths. There's some wonderful truths too. So sometimes you have to look at what the truth is before you can go forward.
You're the perfect person for this because you're a Dartmouth alum.
Yeah, I love Dartmouth. I just don't want bad things to come out of Dartmouth. And I see polluting of the local environment as a bad thing, and lying about it and abusing people's civil rights and First Amendment rights is just outrageous.
You're the Hanover Town whistleblower. You're the next, what's that woman's name?
Aaron Brockovich?
Aaron Brockovich.
No, I don't know about that, but
I do know about it. You're a whistleblower.
Well,
the bottom line of the story is, at one point, the town of Hanover was taking ground-up parking lots and dumping them on these dirt roads where they shouldn't have been, and it was flowing into the brook. So they were basically dumping parking lots into the brook.
In violation of state and federal law.
Yeah, so they're dumping, and the parking lot is made out of asphalt, which is made out of oil, so they're basically dumping oil into the brook. So they were doing that for a long time and would still be doing it to this day, I imagine, if it wasn't for you that started complaining about it and saying, stop doing this. You're breaking the law, and it's bad for life to dump oil into the brook.
Yeah.
And after doing that for years, took you years and 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 years, there finally was a state investigation that found that they were breaking the law, and they stopped doing it.
Yeah.
That's a huge success.
But you know what they never did do?
They never apologized for tearing down your house and then your other house.
Taking my land.
Taking your land and
polluting our water.
Polluting your water and putting a fence around you and basically treating you like a caged wild criminal.
I was going to town meetings. I thought I was being patient. I went for 18 years I've been going because I was trying to stop the dumping of asphalt waste. At one point, the town decided to put me in a cage. They put a fence around our property. Going to these meetings, and they decided that they would have a rule in their town meetings, their select board meetings, that my questions would not be answered.
No one goes to select board meetings generally. Nobody. Other than Dave. Dave has gone to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
Not that many, but many.
Yes, he has. And he goes there and he talks about the asphalt in the brook every time, and the town hates him. They're so disturbed by him. And
they've tried to shut me down by diminishing the amount of time they give me to speak, which is illegal. They started arresting me. They said I could only speak for 5 minutes, and then they would shush me. So they arrested me because I tried to speak for longer. They've arrested me three times. They arrested me.
You've been arrested 3 times for trying to speak for longer than 5 minutes.
Trying to speak for longer than 5 minutes. While they've allowed other people to speak for far longer. Even Ryan Clausen has spoken longer than that at their meetings. I timed it the other day. You spoke twice, and one time when you spoke, you said, "Should I speak? What's appropriate?" And Peter Christie said, 5 minutes or whatever you need, Ryan. So it just depends on the person and whether you're in tight with the town.
Dave, are you surprised that the select board members, after you go to all these meetings, ask them aggressive questions about why they're lying and why they're dumping asphalt in why are they all those things?
Am I surprised they don't want to hear me?
They're like, God, it's like every month we got to put up with this guy. Like, they think you're crazy.
But the thing is, they have an obligation under the Constitution, under the state Constitution. It says they will be responsive. But they're not responsive. I've been asking them questions, like I say, for 18 years, and they have yet to answer questions about who voted to have this asphalt waste dumping program. How did they get a waiver to put on?
You're going after the people in charge. You want to know how this thing even started in the first place.
I want to know, if they're supposed to have open government, why is it not accessible to a citizen to know who's authorizing putting poison in the water where his children swim? And now my grandchild swims. Who has the authority to put poison in our mouths? Who in government has that authority? Instead of answering the question, they hide. And they don't answer any questions, and they say, I have no right to know. But I do have a right to know. It's called the right to know law in New Hampshire. All their meetings have to have minutes. I've gone through all the minutes. I've checked everything out. I've looked at how they run things, and it's not done fairly. It's not done in accordance with the First Amendment. If you're going to have one person speak, then you have to give another person a similar right to speak. Not only that, in the minutes of the meetings, they've censored them so that when I talk about abuse of minorities, abuse of religious minorities, or running a concentration camp, none of those things ever makes it into the minutes. Like, you would think people would want to know if somebody was making an accusation.
Well, the person taking notes, you mean?
Yeah.
So the person taking notes has been instructed, like, don't write down anything Dave says.
Don't write down anything bad that I say. So that's another illegal violation of my First Amendment rights.
You're a whistleblower, and they're trying to shut you down.
Well, when I was at court, the judge on these cases, I said to him, I'd really like. He tried to swear me in, and he says, "Will you tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" I said, "Well, I'll tell the truth, and I'll tell nothing but the truth, but I know I won't be allowed to tell the whole truth." And he looked at me like I'd done something very wrong. And I said, "Well, I've been here before. this goes far beyond what you're going to allow me to talk about. He was pissed, but 5 minutes later he was telling me I couldn't go in somewhere because he said it wasn't relevant. So the crimes that they're committing aren't relevant to me standing up for myself.
I love that. You're literally in a court case that's just about whether you keep getting arrested because you want to speak for more than 5 minutes at the town meetings. And you're literally at trial for this. If you want to speak for maybe 10, they're only giving you 5, and this is literally going in front of a judge, and it's totally insane. And the court case is about 5 minutes or 10 minutes. How long can this guy speak at town meeting? You're constantly trying to relate that to the asphalt in the brook and lies.
Well, I'm saying
it's great.
I got it on the record. I said, well, if you're complaining that I'm speaking at every meeting and you're trying to protect the people from having to hear it again, it's been over 2 months. The judge has had the information, and I tried to explain to him that the town that he works for and the town that I live in, Hanover, both with the college, allowed asphalt waste to be dumped. And now I'm being abused for trying to bring it to the town's attention. And I said, I had Peter Christie on the stand. I said, what is it I keep talking about at all these meetings? And I made him tell him what it was. And I would, you talk about asphalt waste, and you talk about taking down the Indian symbol, and you talk about... It was kind of funny to have him have to say it. And he couldn't say it wasn't relevant because it was what I was talking about that day. So I said, yeah. So that the day you had me arrested, I was trying to bring to the attention of the American people the fact that you've dumped poison in my children's drinking water. I just want that on the record, Your Honor. But it's been, like I said, 7, 8 weeks, 9 weeks. I've been waiting for the decision.
You're probably going to go to jail for trying to speak more than 5 minutes.
Probably.
They're going to come arrest you.
I think it's up to $1,200 per offense. I don't know if there's any jail time.
Oh, yeah, probably no jail time
attached to it.
Dave has done jail time for being a whistleblower, though.
Yeah.
Any chance they get. They take him right up to Grafton County, 45-minute drive. They throw him in a cell.
We've got a nice little library there.
Dave's on a first-name basis with all the people who work at the Grafton County Prison.
No. There was a time when I started to get to know a couple people. That's not good. Not good memories. I just remember they had squash every day. That's what they grew at that farm. Squash for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Prison squash.
Oh, it was nasty.
We're coming to you live from an undisclosed location because we are revealing secrets about elite billionaires, the elite billionaire mafia that controls Dartmouth College and the underbelly of the beast. And we're here with whistleblower David Vincelette. Dave is an accomplished builder, recycler, environmental pioneer, and runs a peace center in Hanover along the brook called Shantytown. He's provided housing for so many people, hundreds of people at this point, over the years. And he is #1 Hanover's most wanted. He's the #1.
Most and least.
Yep. He's the least wanted, and he's most wanted to leave. They want his land. They would love to get him to move out, and they're never going to stop fighting. David Vincelette. My intention is to see if I can bring peace between you and the town of Hanover.
Yes.
And that's why this is the official announcement that David Vincelette is running for select board.
In your dreams. I don't have enough time left.
It is in my dreams. My dream is that you actually run a campaign, you get voted on, because we spread it around town. The students, we shoot a video. You tell your story. And we get a lot of Dartmouth students go, this guy sounds awesome. He's a whistleblower. He's an environmental guy. He went to Dartmouth and he wants Dartmouth to be awesome. And he's really passionate about the rights of all human rights, basically, whether it's, white, native, indigenous, whatever. Human rights is really the thing.
Yeah.
And you just sort of always have a soft spot for sort of groups that have been sort of taken advantage of or marginalized.
Yeah.
And so, boom, all of a sudden you're on the select board. And it'd be so great for the select board to be great for everyone. It's like now we actually have to sit and have real conversation, which you would be great to talk about the budget, how much the police should be getting, the fire projects that would be meaningful. Your perspective is missing. And you went to Dartmouth and you've lived in the town You're like an incredible candidate for select board.
Man, where do I sign up?
People just need to get out the vote. Next select board vote for David Vincelette. You're a captain in the Army. You have all these trainings.
Yep, I'm overtrained.
And you're already going to the meetings anyway.
That's a good point.
You're already going anyway. It'd be nice to go there. They probably give you, some free food once in a while.
Wouldn't change my rate of pay I'm getting now.
We don't. Someone said, I do massage, and I charge like $40 for my friends often, or I just do it for free. But sometimes I say $40 or $60. And I was telling this to my friend who's a massage therapist. She said that's pathetic. She's like, don't stop doing that. She's like, $100 an hour. Like, you're a professional massage therapist. Like, if you're gonna do massage, it's worth more than that. Don't do massage for $40. Like, she was shocked by that. Shocked. And I thought that was so. And I had another friend who said, because I love Spark, by the way. If you're out there, Spark Community Center, it's amazing. For people, generally, it's open to everyone, but special for people with disabilities, which really I like to call people with extra abilities, because I don't even call them disabilities. They're people with whatever, Down syndrome, and then you name it, all sorts of ways that they're subtly different than like an average normal human. But they're some of the most interesting, kind, empathetic, intelligent. They're just different.
Right.
I don't see them as disabled. I see them as different. They inspire me.
Well, tomorrow's April 1st. What's the plan?
We're gonna as the 38-year-old tradition.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump into Mink Brook at Shantytown.
Have the bonfire over by where we had it the other day.
Yeah, because you know why? You can't get pallets as easier to the actual waterfall.
Right.
We're gonna burn pallets, jump in the brook. It's gonna be raining probably, but probably late afternoon. Yeah, to celebrate foolishness and being fools for Christ and when I hear the word Christ, I just think of love, because that's what Christ represented. And so a fool for love, is another way you could say that if you're not into Christ. Although I have been getting into Jesus, and I never was religious, and never was. I like Jesus. I'm into Jesus.
Yeah.
And you got to watch this Crown everyone's talking about, or not the Crown. There's some Jesus thing now on Netflix, The Chosen. Are you watching that?
No.
People are saying that's excellent.
Huh.
They're saying it's like really well done, right out of the Bible. And I think, and I've been hearing it from a lot of people that are loving it. So they're like crying watching this.
Yeah.
Yeah, fool for love. Yeah. Because you know what? He was a great example. Because I sort of, when I go, oh God, people that are into Jesus, they have the cross. They're always talking about, oh, Jesus, 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 And I always sort of didn't really like that. But as I get older, I realize that, I just believe in, love, unconditional love. But people that are often that are very religious and believe in Christ, they're very loving.
Yeah. Well,
so I've sort of learned this over time that like...
Who was more loving than him? He was healing the sick and performing miracles and didn't take money for anything he did, or...
I now get it. Like, he was a model. I'm like, there's not like there's tons of models everywhere. Everyone's a model. Everyone's amazing. It's like, no, there's some models
he stood out.
Yeah, he stood out. He's talking about love and taking care of people and all this stuff. Yeah, so it's sort of wonderful. And now I can be like, I can embrace that. That's wonderful. And that's why I don't like taking money for massage, because I don't look at massage as a business. I look at it as just caring.
Yeah.
And well-being. And the famous chiropractor Bill Bain, one of my idols and mentors, had several brothers. They would chiropractors in New Hampshire, and they would see thousands of patients a week. They just had a box on the wall. They didn't accept, because he goes, you can't accept money for this. It was all God to him. It was all, this is about God and love. This isn't a business. We're not a business here. You pay us the money and we help you get well. We're loving people.
He took donations then? Is that what
I think
saying?
they accepted donations, but they just were there, and whoever came in, they would work on quick, and they're doing these adjustments all day. Yeah, I think that's awesome. That's what makes sense to me.
Yep.
So we're Screaming in the Darkness. We're a podcast, and we're also a church.
Have you activated the office?
We're activated. The church?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the Facebook page. Have you been doing anything with that?
No.
Oh.
But I need to. The Office of Love? Which one?
Yeah.
The Office of Love,
I guess it is.
Yeah. But I decided that, this year I'm going to really, I never really embraced being an ordained minister or being a reverend. Never fully embraced it. It was like,
right.
but I was like, now I really think I'm going to embrace it.
Cool.
I like it. Got to get together in meetings with the truth. And it's fun. Because I realize that, you know what? People just don't get together anymore. Oh,
Yeah.
this is the top of what people do not get together anymore.
Right.
Very rarely, especially after
everything's-
COVID. There's very little getting together. And
Everything's so fragmented.
I started internet dating for 30 days so I could write, because I wanted to have the experience so I could write about it and perform comedy about it and just learn from the experience. What are these people? Because I only have a 24-mile radius, so I'm only looking at women that are within 24 miles of my house, right?
Yeah.
And after a month, I've already maxed out the whole thing. I've seen all the women that
Seen them?
that are available. Yeah, picture of them.
Okay,
like now
picture
it's
them.
like now my app
You know
says
them.
you must. No, I've seen them on the app,
Right.
and if I want to see more women, I have to increase
Your
the amount
distance.
of my radius, the amount of miles.
Huh.
And one thing I noticed, a lot of women, while talking to me, on internet dating, would make the statement that when you ask them why are you on internet dating, they all say the same thing. They all say, I don't meet any men in my life. And a lot of them use this term that I thought very strange. They said, I don't meet any men out in the wild, so that's why I'm on this.
Yeah.
And I heard that once, and I didn't mean it. And then I heard another woman, and then it was like 5 women within a week had used the term wild
In the wild.
to reference everyday life, like going to Starbucks, running to someone at the gas station. That would be meeting someone in the wild,
Right.
and their actual life is their phone. I guess that's what that means. Like their life is their phone. That's where they meet people. They internet date to meet people.
Right.
So they meet people with their phone because they just don't meet anyone in the wild. And I thought this is totally bizarre because that's not the wild. The wild is the woods. The wild is nature.
Yeah.
Which isn't even being referenced anymore. It's like that doesn't even exist. Now the wild is reality, is life, and regular life is an internet dating app. That's regular life. And wild is a restaurant. Let's go to a restaurant, have a drink. And women don't meet any men in the wild anymore. And I go, this is crazy. We're referring to a restaurant as the wild. And so the phone has become that normal. Internet dating is that just normal. That's how meeting in 2023, meeting a woman outside of internet dating is creepy. To talking to a woman, engaging in conversation with a woman has now become, that's just creepy to do. So unless you meet someone on a website, it used to be you meet someone, you go, hey, let's go have dinner or let's go have coffee to get to know each other.
Right.
Let's go for a walk to get to know each other. That's all gone. We don't do that anymore. We get to know each other on the phone.
On the phone.
That's what we do. Not you, Dave. So yeah, I maxed out the internet dating. I never met anyone in person. By a lot of conversations. Every woman I match with has several kids, or 1 to like 2 or 3 kids. They're often very young. So I'm like, man, there's just so many women within 24 miles, just in the Upper Valley. There's a ton of women that are single with kids. Yeah, it's like wow, it's like all of these failed relationships all over the place. There's all of these divorced and no one ever mentions anything about the dad ever. No, not one sentence ever, anything about dad usually.
Yeah.
That's sort of a sad thing. Single mom, there's all these kids, single moms. Yeah, so I'm going to start trying to meet people in the wild, Dave. All right, Dave, is there anything we should say before we should go? It's probably definitely time to go.
It's always time to go.
We should have a ritual how we end the show.
Always time to go.
We talked about the Dartmouth. People are going to stay tuned of what happens with your cases. If you can
Yeah,
talk
if
for
I'm
10
a-
minutes, or if you go to jail for talking
it's
for a minute.
Pretty amazing in America how the First Amendment is being crushed. But we'll see. We'll see if the judge stands up and does what's right, or if he does what I expect him to.
Yeah, this has been Screaming in the Darkness.
Screaming. Still screaming after all these years.
Thank you for listening to this Jam podcast. If you have found this program interesting and would like to find more Upper Valley content or learn how to produce your own media, please visit us at uvjam.org.